One evening, Yemi secretly poisoned the pot of soup which Kehinde had prepared for the family before going out with her husband that evening, hoping to eat with her husband when they come back. But unfortunately for Yemi, Kehinde and Adekule did not return that day because of the heavy rainfall, and they decided to pass the night in one of the village motel where they had dinner and breakfast the next morning. Once upon a time, in a small village, there lived two sisters called Yemi and Kehinde. They were very close, but Yemi had always been a bit envious of her sister Kehinde. She was so jealous of Kehinde's beauty and the attention she received from their parents, villagers, and most especially from notable men in the village. As they grew older, Yemi's jealousy also grew to an extent of accusing Kehinde of stealing her glory and attraction, which made notable men in the village feel less about her. But what Yemi never knew was that the villagers and the men of the village loved Kehinde for her simple and diligent nature. Kehinde was a woman with a heart of gold and would always wear a smiling face with everyone in the village and would always help people in any little way she can. But Yemi, on the other hand, was too cruel to people and would always frown her face, which made the villagers see her as a wicked woman who never helped others. One morning, a young man named Adekule came to seek for Kehinde's hand in marriage, and that fueled the jealousy in Yemi to boil more, as Adekule was a wealthy, handsome man and had thought that he had come for her, but was disappointed to know that he came for Kehinde. Yemi tried all she could to make Adekule change his mind and marry her instead, but all her efforts went in vain, as Adekule was a man who knew what he wants. Kehinde and Adekule became husband and wife after all the marriage rites were performed, and Yemi were so angry and jealous of Kehinde for getting married before her, and to crown it all, she married a wealthy man who had been her choice and kind of man. 3 years of Kehinde's marriage to Adekule, she was yet to get pregnant after her last miscarriage 2 years ago, and that made her so worried that her husband might get tired of her soon and marry another woman. Her in-laws mounted pressure on her, threatening to get another wife for her husband. She tried to convince her husband Adekule to marry her sister Yemi, for it was better for her sister to be her co-wife than allowing another woman to be her co-wife. But her husband forbid her for saying such. Few weeks later, her mother-in-law came to the house with a beautiful maiden, telling her son Adekule to marry her since Kehinde was unable to fulfill her duty as every married woman would do. But Adekule opposed his mother's advice and choice and decided to marry his wife's sister Yemi. Few weeks later, the marriage rites were conducted and Yemi moved in with Adekule as his second wife and also Kehinde's co-wife. Adekule was though unhappy for marrying a second wife, but was glad to fulfill his wife's wish. Kehinde was happy to have her sister as her co-wife and did everything possible for peace to reign in order to make her sister happy. But Yemi, on the other hand, had another plan. She tried all she could to separate Kehinde and Adekule in order to have Adekule all to herself, but her plans failed. She went as far as accusing her sister of having extramarital affair and witchcraft. Still, her plans failed each time she tried. One evening, Yemi secretly poisoned the pot of soup which Kehinde had prepared for the family before going out with her husband that evening, hoping to eat with her husband when they come back. But unfortunately for Yemi, Kehinde and Adekunle did not return that day because of the heavy rainfall, and they decided to pass the night in one of the village motels where they had dinner and breakfast the next morning. When they got home the next morning, Kehinde discovered that the soup had gone sour, and her husband instructed her to pour it away and prepare fresh soup for the family. Yemi got angry as her plans failed again. The 4th year of her marriage to Adekunle, she discovered that she was pregnant and was so excited to break the good news to her husband, who was so happy to hear the good news. He did everything within his power to make Kehinde happy. He pampered her like a baby and showered her with love, gifts, and attention, and made sure she never lacked anything. Yemi, instead of being happy for her sister, she developed strong jealousy, stronger than before, towards her sister Kehinde. How can she get pregnant before me? So she wants to make me a laughingstock in this village. I am Yemi. It will be over my dead body for her to carry her baby before me. Yemi said to no one in particular. She tried all she could to get rid of Kehinde's pregnancy by adding strong alcohol and deadly herbs in her food. Yet her plans went futile each time she tried. 9 months later, Kehinde gave birth to a baby boy. Yemi's jealousy grew as she began to plot against her sister. One night, under the lights of the full moon, Yemi sneaked into Kehinde's hut and kidnapped her baby. She hid the child in a nearby forest, planning to raise the baby as her own just to wicked her sister out of jealousy. Kehinde was devastated and searched everywhere for her son, but her son was nowhere to be found. Yemi denied ever being involved with the baby's disappearance. The community joined Kehinde in search of her son for days, but all to no avail. As time passed, Kehinde became ill and weak from grief. The villagers knew that Yemi was up to no good, and they believed her evil deed had caused Kehinde's illness. They tried to console Kehinde, but she was so heartbroken. One morning, a wise old man from the village, Baba Oloki, discovered Yemi's secret. He had been out in the forest gathering herbs when he saw Yemi feeding the baby with some milk where she had hidden him. He recognized the baby and knew that Yemi was behind the kidnapping. Baba Oloki secretly informed Kehinde's husband and some of the village chiefs about the baby's disappearance, and later that evening they all went to the forest before Yemi and hid themselves from being seen by Yemi in order to catch her red-handed. Few minutes later, Yemi went to the forest to fill the baby with some milk as usual, when suddenly everyone came out from their hiding and caught her red-handed. She was paraded round the village and finally confessed to all her evil deeds, and was banished from the village to a faraway land and never to return. Kehinde's health began to improve as she reunited with her son, and the villagers celebrated the reunion, and Yemi learned a valuable lesson about the dangers of jealousy and its consequences. The story spread throughout the land, teaching people about the importance of family bonds and the destructive nature of jealousy. If you find this story very interesting, please do well to comment, subscribe, like, and share. See you soon in our next story. Bye.